Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Love, where we deep dive into every episode of A Love Like This. If you're joining us on episode 6, you already know the drill. But just to remind you all, we're going to be deep diving into every episode. So if you have not watched the latest and the season finale episode of A Love Like This, pause the video here, jump back, watch episode 6, and then come back to us. Do exactly what Amaru's gesturing over there. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. I've got two very special guests today. You all know them pretty well by now, but I'm going to introduce you all again for those of you who may not. I've got Amaru Davis and Nimo Purcell. Hello, everybody. How you guys doing?
Great.
Great. Nice to be back. Thank you for having us.
I know I haven't had you guys back in weeks, so I'm excited to bring it back, and we're coming full circle with this one. So some very exciting times. Yeah, so thank you both so much for joining us. So let's deep dive into the episode real quick, and then we'll spend most of our time getting your opinions about things. So this episode was a special one. It's our season finale, and in this episode, we first see Tatiana and Benjamin reeling from their fight where Tatiana found out about Benjamin being married and about him having a baby. And then we see that Tatiana is not actually cool with Emma anymore. She's really upset at Emma and partly blames Emma for what happened. And then we quickly transition over to Benjamin and his friends, and they try to help him get over things on his end. And we find out that Benjamin's really kind of lost and confused with what to do next. So he goes to someone who knows him pretty well. He goes to his ex-wife, Jessica, and she basically tells him that everything that happened with them was really not his fault, and that was really the push he needed to realize that he's not as bad or a fuck up as much as he thought he was. And then we transition over to Tatiana and Angelica, where this all kind of started, and Angelica gives her some good advice about Tatiana really being in control of this situation and really needing to be the person that makes the decision. They meet up, Benjamin and Tatiana. Benjamin says all the right things and really fixes the situation. They basically agree to move on. And in the middle of them agreeing to move on, Benjamin out of nowhere pops the question, and we're all left with what's going to happen next. So, it was a really exciting episode. Lots happened. So, Nimo, can you tell me where's Tatiana coming from in this episode? And obviously, you're going to have to refer back to the previous episode as well. But where is Tatiana coming from in this episode?
I mean, just to make it brief, she's coming from a place of hurt. I mean, she's fallen head over heels for this guy. He and her have been spending so much time together that they're just a match made in heaven. And then this bombshell gets dropped. So Emma, being however people may feel about Emma, whether it's from a good place or from a place of hate, whatever it may be, she brought information to Tatiana that needed to be said a long time ago. To a lot of, from a lot of people's perspective, that's something that you shouldn't be really kept hidden. Now, in Benjamin's defense, when would have been the right time to say it? And if so, how would you say it? It's just such a delicate topic. And I'm so happy that you brought that up, because conversations, as important as it is sometimes a very delicate process, and you have to figure out how you want to approach any topic, especially something this heavy. So Tatiana's coming from a place of hurt and disappointment and shock. And she's trying to navigate her day-to-day life without Benjamin being there, and still trying to be, still trying to analyze all the information she got from that email. And so she's struggling. She's definitely struggling a lot early on in the episode, until that conversation happens with her and Benjamin, where things start coming out and they're able to address whatever that issue is. So then when they finally have that conversation to just breach that topic, it's such a big deal. I mean, marriage, you were married, and especially when she asked him that in, what was it, episode 1?
Yeah.
Episode 1, yeah. And she even asked him that. And to Benjamin's defense, he wasn't married. He's not. But, it's the omission is a thing. And by you not saying it, it just kind of built up its own things.
No, I like that. I appreciate that. And I'm definitely loving what you're saying about the idea of that there really is no right time to say this, but we're also on the same page. Both of you are right in this situation. and both points are justified, which I really appreciate. Both of you did such a good job of making your points clear, and I feel like, depending on the day, I'm on Benjamin's side or I'm on Tatiana's side, and it's rare in relationship fights that things like that happen. So I was really happy that you all did such a good job of portraying that. So let's move to the other side of the situation. Let's move over to Benjamin. So Amaru, talk to us a little bit about where Benjamin's coming from in this episode.
In this episode, Benjamin is coming from a place of guilt all the way up until like the last 30 seconds. I think it's a place of guilt all the way up until that moment. I mean, it was never intended for, of course, it was never intended for it to come out like this. I mean, this was a surprise to everybody, on Emma's part. Not on Emma's part, but Emma surprised everybody with this information.
No, I mean, no, she did. She definitely did. She came out of nowhere. She came out of pocket. But we already talked about that.
But
dive into that. But you're right.
But guilt, and it wasn't. Benjamin did not want to hurt anybody. He did not want to, hurt her. He was just coming to terms with, okay, I really do need to be able to say this to her, talking with his mother about, he should be honest with her. And he was coming to terms, and probably in his thoughts, if anything, this would be in his thoughts. If I were to jump back into Benjamin, this would be in my thought like every day. Like at some point I need to be able to tell her this. At some point I need to be able to tell her this. And it comes out like this. And now he feels guilty, and he didn't want to hurt the person that feels like, is the best person that he, has ran into. And so he's trying to navigate that, and then navigating through that, talking with his friends trying to make him feel better. They're coming, to him with, great advice. And then, like you said, who else is he supposed to come to? Let's go to the person who knows me the best. And, talk with her and see, confirm with her was I really what I'm thinking in my head? Because Benjamin is taking the guilt. He's got the guilt, but now he's also the person that's like, you know what? It's literally all my fault. It's literally all my fault. So has it always been all my fault? Has it always been that way? So I'm going to check with someone who would know if that's a yes or no, and who would tell me honestly, and check with that person to see, was this true? Was this real? If everything I'm thinking about myself and the situation that I'm in, is it true? Did I do this? And, she gives him the confirmation that it's nobody's fault, but it's not your fault. It's not all your fault. It's nobody's fault. You can't control things like that. And it's not like you were or I were, speaking in her term, speaking from her words, you were or I were hoping, we're trying to steer it this way. And that gives him the push to come back, and gives him the push, but also the grounding to be able to talk to Tatiana from this place of, okay, I'm not in guilt land anymore. It is my fault, but I can talk to you and try to reconcile this from a better place.
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct about that. And it's interesting that of all people he has to go to is Jessica, that kind of his relationship with Jessica, or not necessarily the relationship with Jessica, but the secrecy of his relationship with Jessica is the thing that really kind of broke it with Tatiana. The fact that he has to go back to her, and as an audience member, you're thinking, is he still in love with her? And then you find out, no, they're not. He just needs to go there and get something from her. Because I think when you're in a relationship with someone for that long, they have a piece of you. So I really wanted to show that, and show that there might not necessarily be a attraction or something that you guys still want to be together, but she's the person that knows you the most in this world. And you had to go back there. You had to go backwards to move forward. So I guess for both of you, Nimo, for you, why do you think Tatiana decides to forgive him? Because I think at the end of episode 5, I think it kind of left it that she was ready to fight for this. But when he left, I think that all kind of shifted everything. So why do you think she was able to forgive him in the end?
I think because Tatiana has really thought about the situation. I mean, she's just had time to be with herself. She hasn't been talking to Emma. She hasn't been talking to Benjamin, who was her, her A1 when they finally got together, when they got together and had that relationship. So she's been having a lot of time to reflect on what she discovered in that email and what that means for her and what that means for Benjamin in their relationship. And so I think with all that said, their last conversation or argument left really abruptly. Like there wasn't anything finalized there. And so he was frustrated and needed to check out. She was angry. And so she was like, oh, no, this, you have so much more to say. And instead the conversation gets cut off. And so Tatiana still has questions. She still has comments. She still has things that she wants to uncover and figure out and get, like, everything she got from Benjamin was not this guy. This guy does not keep secrets. And if this secret is something he felt like he needed to keep, then why? What was it about it that made it so? So I think she took that time to think about it, to really assess the situation. And then when they finally had their time to come back together again, I think then she was able to finally get those questions answered. But also, I missed the biggest proponent of it all was Angelica. Her having that conversation with Angelica, oh my gosh, I think Tatiana was ready to just say, it is what it is. We thought we had something and we didn't. And so I guess I got to figure out how to move on from here. But then Angelica, and take how you want as to what her goal is. But I feel like Tatiana and Angelica have grown together, have become good friends in this process. And so with her advice, I feel like Angelica really set Tatiana up by giving her some good advice from a place of positive intention. And so by her taking that in, hearing what Angelica has to say, I think then Tatiana was finally ready to just put aside whatever ego she may have had, if that would have stopped her from going to speak to Benjamin, and instead went over there and said, okay, if it's going to end, let this final conversation be that
Exactly.
indicator.
Angelica did not tell you what to feel about him. She told you get to make the decision. And I feel like the power to make that decision was taken away from you when he left.
Absolutely.
All your power was gone. So what Angelica did was she told you are still in control here. So you got to control when you met with him. You got to control the next steps, because that's how it is. You get to decide what your next step is. So I feel like Angelica did many things, but I think she also empowered Tatiana to take the next step, whatever that is. Angelica easily could have said, oh yeah, break up with him or stay with him, but she didn't do that. She gave you some advice, but she also said you get to make the decision, which I think is the thing that really helped push her into where she needed to go. So I think you're 100% correct. So Amaru, what about you? What made you decide that Tatiana was the one to make you go into that conversation? Or did you know, or have you known that the whole time and you just needed a refresher? Was it the conversation with Jessica? What was it for you?
I think it was the conversation with Jessica that I really do think that was the one that gave him the grounding and the bearings to be able to say, I can do this. I can go and get her back. Because I really think Benjamin was just really in a place of just bad talking himself, crapping on himself, talking like this, saying, this is all my fault. How could I do this? How could I do this to somebody? Do I really deserve somebody this great? But the conversation with Jessica gave him the bearings that there are just, some things that happen, and there was no malice intent to try to hide this from her for any other reason than, how do I say this? And how do I tell somebody about the last decade of my life?
I am so excited to see where all of this goes. The fact that we're ending on a proposal, we don't know where that came from or what Tatiana is going to do next. One of my favorite shots is the way the remote kind of just falls towards you, and it's as if you're pointing it, but it literally slipped, but the way it falls, it's as if you're going, me. It's so funny, it's so perfect, and it's kind of basically we in Tatiana where we started with Tatiana, her just being, I don't know what to do, and her just being her awkward self. So it's really funny that we came full circle, but so much has changed for her. So I'm so excited to continue diving into this couple's relationship. This is not the last time you will see Tatiana and Benjamin and see them on their adventures. Will they be on the computer? Who knows? We're gonna have to find out. You're gonna have to come back and see. But I just want to thank everyone out there for being such loyal audience members. You all have been so great to us. And I also want to thank all of our cast and crew out there. I want to thank Nimo and Amaru.
And yeah, thank you to everybody. Thank you to everybody who has tuned in and showed support and shared this and enjoyed all the people that I know personally that messaged me about it. That's cool. Thank you. But thank you to everybody who has shown support, and stay tuned for these 6 episodes in this web series. Thank you so much.
And I would like to just second that. Thank everyone for joining in, tuning in, being part of the conversation. If this has touched you in a special place, I'm so happy that the storytelling has been able to just share that story, your story, and has been able to touch you. And if you haven't been able to be touched in one way, but you've been touched by another way through like friendships of Tatiana and Emma, or Benjamin and his guys, and if you just love seeing those kind of relationships blossom as well, this is it. This is where it's at. You only have to keep watching, to keep going on this journey, because there's more to go, more to see. And I want to thank Thomas for trusting us, Amaru and myself, to tell his story and project it in a way that he was satisfied with, because he had a vision and he felt very passionate about it. And I'm happy that he entrusted Amaru and myself to be able to tell that story. So thank you, Thomas. And I can't wait to see what happens in season 2.
Yes, thank you, Thomas. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you both so much. You all, like I've told you all this many times. I had an idea, and you both came in and really elevated it. And not just you two, everyone that came on board with this team really elevated the story and really took it to a level I had not expected it to be at. So I'm so proud of this, so proud of all of you. And thank you all so much for joining us. Have a great day, everyone.